Welcome everybody to Linux Academy. My name is Terry, and over this course we will be covering all things Linux, introduction to installation and setup. So as we talked in our last video, we went ahead and installed the KDE full version of the desktop. And the full version of the desktop comes with all of the KDE applications that are available in the repository, as well as all of the various widgets that we can install on our desktop. So for customizing our desktop, we can go to default desktop settings. This is a limited amount of customization options. So if you just want to get your feet wet and do things like change how the mouse behaves and what I see on the desktop, this is a good place to get started. And because it uses a paradigm that most people are familiar with, right-clicking on the desktop will give you default desktop settings, we can bring this up. So basically here, we've got a large number of wallpapers that can be installed or can be activated on KDE. And that's a nice skyline. I tend to stick with the KDE blue backgrounds. It's easier on my monitor, easier on my eyes. And we can also get new wallpapers. And here's where KDE has Unity as well as GNOME Beat, is the wallpaper downloads are gathered for you, and it's as easy as install. Once that's now installed, then I can come over here and install that wallpaper. So I've picked my wallpaper. I've changed my mouse, made it behave the way that I want. I want to do a little bit more. I can right-click here on the taskbar. I can look at panel options, and I can add widgets or add a panel. We added widgets the last time. We added a few to the desktop. We can also add them to the panel itself. And we can do that by right-clicking on the desktop and adding widgets to the panel, or adding widgets to the desktop itself rather than the panel. Let's look at the CPU clock frequency. And this is a bubble representation of the clock frequency of the CPU, which if you hover over, will tell you that the clock frequency is at 3.6 gigahertz. So that's one customization, adding widgets to the desktop. So if we go over here to system settings, well, now here's a whole bunch of things that we can do, including desktop effects. Desktop effects are enabled on start by default, but here's where you have a great number of customizations, and you can have some pretty cool looking stuff done. So one of the things that I like is I like to start, so when a window, closed windows fall into pieces. We've got a large number of customizations that we can put together for KDE. This isn't as clean as the customizations that are built into the Ubuntu Unity Tweak tool, but you can still get most of what you're after in the settings here. So we can change all of our window decorations to various themes. And you see how it's immediately activated. This is the old plastic theme that came with KDE version 3. A lot of people hated it. I kind of thought it was kind of cool. You can change your cursor. Whereas here we were just changing window decorations. Here we can change the actual color theme. For our desktop. We can change the splash screen. I happen to like the default. And again, getting new themes is as simple as clicking on Get New Theme. And we can install CMotion Splash. Nope. Sometimes you'll get themes that are not really a link to a theme, but are to an HTML page they want you to go to for one reason or another. In this case, we were able to pull down Lightning. Lightning is now the login. So if we hit apply here and close this screen, let's go ahead and log out. And when we log back in, before when we saw the KDE window that had the icons appearing, we should now see KDE and the Lightning theme. KDE is chosen as our login desktop. And that's a pretty cool login animation for KDE, which then fades out to my desktop. Again, back in here to System Settings. You can configure a large number. By default, desktop effects are on. Desktop effects use what's called KWin, which is the KDE equivalent of Compiz, the compositing manager. You can disable them with an Alt-Shift F12, which will allow you to disable them, which for some gaming can sometimes cause an issue. We can go in and change the display settings, the screen locker type, the gamma settings for fixing grayscale and color banding. We can set accessibility options for text-to-speech, a large number of other user accessibility settings for visual handicap or tactile handicap or other accessibility features that are available in Linux. Set our input options, startup and shutdown, our login screen, etc., etc. So there's a large number of options that are available for KDE customization. You've seen just a few of those. You've seen some of my favorites, particularly the widgets on the desktop, and the ability to change our backgrounds, our menu, and add additional taskbars to the system. For KDE customizations, my name is Terry for Linux Academy, brought to you by Pinehead TV.